Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast for the first live recap of the season. Benji and I are locked into our chairs where we won't be moving from for the next 8 months. And this is for the UAE Tour ITT recap. I'm not sure if we did these live last year, Benji. We're obviously back on our grind set doing these. You must have got up early, though.
Well. I accidentally overslept. I overslept and I realized that, the TT is already halfway, so I had to literally rewatch the first half of the time trial, and that's where my first rant comes in when it comes to this time trial, because I woke up and I was very confused that Pogacar was riding, because it's really early in the time trial, and usually in time trials, in stage races, the starting order of the riders is the reverse order of the GC before that time trial starts. Now, that's apparently different at UAE Tour. We saw the same last year at the UAE Tour, and the following is the case. The UCI rules say that it should be the reverse order of GC, but they allow the race organizers, which in this case is RCS for the UAE Tour, to change that according to their own wishes in the technical guide of the race. So the race organizer has a carte blanche to change the starting order in their own desire. And the race organizer of UAE Tour decided that basically everyone can choose when they start, except the rider in the leader's jersey, Jonathan Milan, which that's unfair for Milan, but most importantly, as a cycling fan, that's not good for the viewing experience, that good riders go early in the time trial, in my opinion.
Well, also because this race starts super early because the UAE is 3 hours ahead of Europe, and then it's, 10 hours ahead of the east coast of the US, and with the weather mattered a lot. Of course, this is, is this a glorified exhibition race? No, it is a World Tour race. It's not just a glorified exhibition race for Poggi to win. If Poggi had won yesterday, Benji, the 10 bonies would have been erased. But I reckon maybe the commissaires could have decided something different then. But you're right, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that 150 riders can choose their slot and one can't, because they were good enough to win the stage the day before, so they get fucked over. Makes no sense. So it's either everyone gets to choose or no one gets to choose. And it mattered a lot because there was really variable weather conditions today. And so what ended up happening was you wanted the early slot. I think the ideal slot was between 1 o'clock and 1:30, 1:40, more
UAE
or less.
time, that is.
UAE time.
In the earlier part of the time trial, right?
Yep, that's in the first hour of the TT. And then at about 1:45, this is in 45 minutes into the TT, the weather changed a lot, and the initial straight there was a lot more wind, way more wind, and you see the times are way slower there, and then quicker times on the back straight, which we see like Florian Vermeersch, he went at 2:10, and he's done a huge negative split, maybe by design. Maybe not. When you look at, I think, so the riders that had the worst of it were the riders like Broe. He went at about 1:48, I think, and he's a good TT rider, and he just was going nowhere, and he looked like he was trying. Seychelles, horrible slot as well. So Milan never had a chance because of his time slot, and it's just a shame, isn't it?
I think so as well. And I would like the UAE Tour to change this. Either everyone gets to choose or no one gets to choose. That way it's fair for everybody, in my personal opinion. And personally, I don't know whether I'm a fan of the reverse order of GC, but the good part of it is that you get to see the best riders and the most important riders for the outcome of this race in the latter part on paper. That's on paper because we just had a sprint stage. So not every GC rider went for it full out, but at least they would be in the last 40 riders in that time trial, which wasn't the case for most GC riders in today's time trial. Anyway, that ran to a side. We have the order. It's a very odd order, randomly picked to the point. Well, not randomly picked.
It's not random. No, I actually like when teams choose. I like it because it's like it shows you what their priorities are, who they rate. I like it.
I like it from a strategic concept, because then you can see which teams have actually put time into figuring out what the best time slots are and whether they prioritize rider A over rider B, etc. But from a viewership experience, I like it a little bit less because, let's be honest, in this time trial, when the rider I was looking forward to winning this time trial crossed the line, it was over for me.
Ben's just mad that he was asleep. He had to wake up early. That's why he's mad. And he wants to do the proper reverse GC order. Yeah, that's what it all comes down to. I should say it's a 12.2K TT on Hurriyat Island, which is some sort of like, I don't know if it's a real island or they constructed it. It looks like they half started building things and then stopped. And anyway, there's a track around there, some trees on it, some open sections. There's water on either side. And yeah, it got even cool. It was 23 degrees and raining at one part. And so there's a few tight turns, a couple of like really ones where they had to brake as well. So yeah, a decent course, but yeah, definitely affected by the wind. And we'll get straight into the results as we do. So Joshua Tarling put all the pressure on himself, said, I need it. We need it. I have to win this TT. And he went out and did. We picked him. We remembered that he did a 550 watt route de crête for 10 minutes a week ago. And so
in
Marseillaise. So we remembered that, and thankfully we picked him. He was also the short favorite, and he smokes everybody. The only rider to go under 13 minutes and beats second by 13 seconds. Huge gaps. He goes the only rider over 56 kph. He's 1 kph quicker than the second, who is, I think Benji said he should retire in the decathlon preview.
That's not true.
I was worried for a bit. Listen, if you want to have a good year, if you want to have a resurgent year and pick back up, the best thing that can happen to you is that we slander you in the team preview. Riders should pay us to slander them. I did it to Hindley.
I think so as well.
He won the fucking Giro.
So what does it say about Cavagna? Because we were relatively critical.
That guy's finished. Don't worry about that. Dude, I was getting hate from Clermont-Ferrand. They're like, be careful. If you come to Clermont-Ferrand, I was like, I won't be going to Clermont-Ferrand, don't worry.
Either way, Stefan Bissegger, a better time trial than I expected, because
smoked it.
Let's be honest about it. Thought he was low-key washed based on the results of the last 1.5 years. And to see him get second, yes, it's not on like he's not on the soles of Josh Tarling. He's a bit behind, but at the first time check was only 3 seconds. It went up towards the second time check though, but it's a good result when it comes to him, especially. But how do we rate the Van Rijssel time trial setup within the peloton? Because it can't be that bad, right?
Yeah, I guess it's okay. But yeah, he was in a good time slot as well, but he cracked a little bit. So he was, as Benji said, he was second at T1, and T1 to the finish, he was 12th. Now, these are not big gaps, so he slowed down a bit.
You spoke about priorities, teams having certain priorities towards certain riders versus other riders. In this case, Decathlon AG2R put Stefan Bissegger in this time slot, and it comes at the cost of Paul Seychelles, who ends up having a late starting point in this time trial. But then again, there were other spots in the first hour that Seychelles could have taken out.
Each team had 2 slots. You had 2 good slots. Ineos went C-Rod and Tarling. UAE went Vine and Poggi. Visma went Glogan, Lemon. There was space for and Movistar went Romeo Castrillo. Decathlon went Armirel Bissegger, which makes no sense to me. Because Bissegger's always, despite our slander, he's always beating Armirel in this TT. He's come second in this TT before, in 2021. So you have to then put your GC guy in the second good slot. And they put Seychelles in the dog shit slot after 2 o'clock. It costs him maybe 30 seconds. The wind was so strong. He is a good time trial rider, Seychelles. He's a junior world champion TT. Now, he did have a loose helmet. He's got the chain flapping out. They're internationalizing the team. Luke Rowe is going to have to beat the panache out of him. But he would have come, I think, top 10 in this TT, and they put Armirel in that other slot to come 10th, 12th, some middling result when Bissegger's always doing better. I think that's a mistake.
I would say so as well, but we also can't shred Armirel completely because he has had top 10s in time trials all year long.
Not in a power TT, though, against Bissegger and Tarling.
It needs to be a bit rolling when it comes to Bruno Armirel in my book. And that's not necessarily the parkour we have on this UAE Tour time trial. So I agree there. And it's not just Sasha, it's also Felix Gall, who, to be honest, you'd expect to lose a decade on this time trial, even though it's only X amount of kilometers. But
oh yeah, he went in a good slot.
Did he also go in a good slot?
Yeah,
so
he did.
Seychelles came also as a cost towards. Who do you expect to be better in GC here, Seychelles or Gall?
Seychelles. If he'd gone in a good slot, he would have taken 20 seconds on Gall.
Yeah. Also for Jebel Hafid, because Seychelles is super talented, but
yeah, why not?
I don't know how he stacks up on Jebel Hafid against the World Tour pros yet.
Just beat them all.
What's the hot take?
Yeah, I mean, he would beat Gall in the TT, and probably they climb the same. So he should, he should be that GC leader here.
Top 5 or top 10 on Jebel Hafid?
He should top 10.
Okay, I think that's fair.
But unless there's crossovers, but back to the other GC riders. Poggi went at 10+1. And he set the provisionally best time. He beat Romeo by quite a lot, by 10 seconds. Romeo from Movistar went 5 minutes before him. We're thinking, oh, has Pogacar, he's already run away with the stage win.
Mm-hmm.
He paced it pretty evenly. 3rd at T1, 6th at T1 to the finish in the end. Jay Vine went 20 minutes later. And he also paced it somewhat similarly to Pogacar from what I can see. He finishes 3 seconds behind Pogacar, but Tarling and Biss, it was really for them. They smoked Poggi. So Tarling, let me do some maths. 18 seconds quicker than Pogacar in a 13-minute TT. But Poggi's still the best of the GC riders. Valscheid, 13:19. That's a really good performance from him. He was second, only 1 second slower than Tarling from T1 to the finish on the fast section. So that Jayco high-speed TC setup's looking okay. Movistar got to be happy with Castrillo and Romeo. They're looking good for podium on GC here, actually. Now, they're, let me see, 21 seconds behind Pogacar. That's not, I can't count. 9 and 10 seconds behind Pogacar. That's considerable, but they're also 10 seconds ahead of the next best GC guys. Let's assume Vine loses GC time helping Poggi. Podium's open for Movistar.
I would say top 5 right now. I agree that podium is definitely realistic now, but I'd say top 5 because I think we are somewhat underrating Jebel Hafid a little bit also here, because the gaps there can be significant, especially when Pogacar decides to go early. They're going to be flopping around like fish behind him on Jebel Hafid, and then the gaps can be easily made.
Climbers, like Onley's lost a decade.
Yeah,
he's not just going to chill and wait to sprint. Then he has to do something against the TT GC rider. Van Aertvelt lost quite a lot of time. He's got it, not quite a lot, but he's nearly 20 seconds behind the Movistar boys. He's going to have to attack them.
I agree, but I also see those two riders as riders that will be pinpointing themselves towards Jebel Jais a lot because they've got that sprint. Obviously, Pogacar is the favorite for Jebel Jais, but nonetheless, they would probably see themselves as candidates to podium that stage, if not try and beat Pogacar on that stage, even though that's in anyone's head somewhat unrealistic, looking at the form of Pogacar, which on this time trial was good. I'm sorry, but that's the expectation I have when it comes to Pogacar on this time trial. The time
he beat every GC rider, and then he couldn't quite beat the guys that are 80 plus kilos, like on a flat TT. It's kind of it's expected. Vine also a good TT. I mean, would you expect him to beat Vine by more than 3 seconds? Actually, no. Vine's TT is really, really good. To round out the top 10, Bilbao, the best of the slender climbers behind Poggi. He finishes 8th. Really good TT from him. Vermeersch is the only man in the top 30. The only man in the top, the top 30 who went after 2 o'clock in the second hour slot. And he finishes 9th. That's a huge TT. He monsters the last section to the finish. It doesn't really matter for GC, of course. Fisher Black rounds up the top 10 in 10th. He is 22 seconds behind Pogacar.
We've had some offer discussions every now and then about Florian Vermeersch and what we expect from him in the future, but I feel like Vermeersch is in an interesting spot. He's joined UAE. I expect him to be better this year, especially after seeing that time trial as well today, especially after the comeback he had to make long-term after that severe injury he had at Lotto. But the last vivid memory of Florian Vermeersch, obviously he's been in classics every now and then, left and right, but the big result was losing Paris-Roubaix But I feel like it's been so long that he's gone from being someone that people are now taking in as, oh, this guy is definitely a good classic rider, we need to look after him. He might have come to the point where he's now underrated again because it's been so long since that top result. I think there's definitely going to be teams that are going to be like, Florian Vermeer's in the break in Paris-Roubaix, we'll allow it.
No.
I disagree.
You see,
I don't have that confidence in teams.
He's on UAE now, not Tudor.
That is true, but when it comes to Roubaix, the team people look at as the favorite for that race is not UAE. Everyone's going to be scared of Alpecin for that race.
He's not in the break in Roubaix.
I see it differently because I think it's possible because everyone else will try and beat.
We just lost Benji for a bit. I think Benji got the internet cut out because he was hyping up a Belgian rider for once. Anyway.
I did the opposite.
I think what he was saying...
Okay, I did.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like maybe then, Trek put in Vatsek in the break. Visma put in Hagenes. UAE put in Vermeersch in Roubaix. You're right. And they all try to put Alpecin under pressure. But yeah, he's looking in good shape. He was all right in Oman. Quite strong, actually. And then, I think the biggest surprise of the day for me is Giulio Ciccone's TT. He finishes 12th or 13th, the same time as Tejada. He finishes 2 seconds behind Fisher Black and in front of Carlos Rodriguez, taking quite a lot of time on the likes of Glow, Goal, Onley. That's a really good TT from Ciccone. And actually, he is... For this sort of uphill finishes remaining, he's looking really, really good for a podium as well. So the podium's pretty open where we have like two stronger, heavier GC riders who will have to defend, Castrillo, Romeo. And then same with Bilbao, actually, maybe a little bit defensive. And then we have the attackers, Ciccone, Rodriguez, Van Eetveld, Onley, Seychelles, who are further behind on GC, who now have to make something happen on the uphills.
I think so as well. And it's like, when it comes to GC, we're always looking at the way GC looks before the mountain stages. But at the end of the day, Pogacar looks the best after this time trial. And he was the favorite going into this race. So I'm still expecting him to be the best on the mountain stages. So it's all about what changes behind that. And to see those differences where a Ciccone, for example, is higher than expected, where an Only is maybe lower than expected.
Yeah, Only not
it does play into the coming stages differently, but I gotta be honest, I don't necessarily see that impacting Jebel Jais too much because that's not the climb where the big differences are made. I expect the long term, the long way attacks to come on Jebel Hafid. Obviously, I've heard some rumors that Jebel Jais is now not headwind, so that should on paper incentivize riders to maybe attack a bit early, but it's still Jebel Jais, so I don't necessarily see that. Question though, Tarling's leading GC by, let's say, 18 seconds on Pogacar, 10 bonus seconds on top of Jais, 8 seconds on the road. I don't see it realistic for Tarling to keep the leader's jersey on Jebel Jais, despite actually expecting him to perform relatively solid.
Yeah, it's a good climb for that sort of rider, but yeah, with it's crosswind mostly that I'm seeing. I mean, some tailwind sections, but mostly a crosswind. And then in the last sort of 3Ks from 4Ks to the turnaround at 1.5Ks, there's tailwind, cross tailwind, and then the last bit is kind of headwind. So if someone does a late attack in fight, you don't want to go at 500 meters to go. There's headwind, so you want to go late. I think tomorrow it's less likely Poggy wins than Hafid.
I see that.
Of course, he could just, Bjerg and Vermeersch go crazy in the first 5Ks, and then Vine launches him with 7.5%. But I think I don't see that happening. There's also the 8% K with about 4Ks to go.
Yeah.
He could go there. There's also now cross tailwind, as I said, so he could go solo. because I think this is a very hard climb for Vine to control the last 6Ks himself on his own. And you've got Rubios, you got so many second tier guys that it's gonna be tough for Vine to control.
I agree, and I think the starting point of that discussion is also, you said I think it's less likely that Pogačar loses on Hafid than on Jais. I just don't see anyone beating Pogačar on Hafid in the first place. Like, something would have to happen for Pogačar to not win on Hafid in my head. So when it comes to Jais, something can happen. And especially because it's more on the team to control that climb, like you mentioned, and then it depends on how they control that climb, how they react to things. If someone goes, do they react by setting tempo slowly behind it? Do they rush and try and close that, therefore ruining their domestique and therefore allowing more opportunities for others to make a move before the last kilometer? All is possible. But at the end of the day, Pogačar is also kind of good enough that in the last 3K, if 10 people decide to attack, he low-key could respond to a lot of them and still win the race.
Yeah, and he probably could just follow in the wheels. And, if they'll all close each other too. So it's not like a group of 3 will go up the road and then the other GC top 10 hopefuls that miss out will just be like, oh, all right, it's Pogačar's problem. He's also got more of a buffer on GC to play with. So O'Connor won with a lead out from VPP last year. Torres gave a lead out to Ina Rubio, who won here a few years ago. Then
Movistar
also
Torres, not Pablo.
No, yeah, Albert Torres, the track rider, actually. Chris Harper won here in 2021.
Get the fuck out of here.
As well, with a late attack. But where he attacked, that would actually be more difficult now with the wind direction this year. So I think it'd be more where O'Connor attacked or Rubio could work. So we're not allowed to pick Poggy. So who have you got?
My issue is that when it comes to a rider like Van Eetveld, I feel like he might have the confidence in the sprint itself. So I'm not sure he will go early. And even with Only, I low-key have that feeling.
Me too.
So it would have to be someone else than that, even though I'd like to pick a Van Eetveld for a finish like that. But I'm trying to think through the other GC riders, the ones that aren't necessarily Poggy, aren't necessarily the people that would trust themselves in a sprint even though it's against Poggy. Who do you have left?
Give me York, Steinhauser. A bit bigger GC rider, can push on these 5-6% gradients. He nearly beat Poggy last year in the Giro.
Like, it's a shame that Harper's out of the race, because he would be the kind of rider I'd expect to make a move like that, especially since his form has been good so far this year.
Does Patrick Conrad know that he has to lead out Ciccone tomorrow, or he doesn't?
I don't think he knows that.
He's sprinting for 5th.
Yeah, I think so too.
By
the way, Sergio Higuita has not had the season start that Astana was hoping for. Yes, he is.
No.
Yes, he is. I'm afraid. I'm going for Harold Tejada.
Tejada, I think he's attacked here before, and Lushenko nearly won here before, actually.
And he looks good. 12th in today's TT.
Yeah. Wow, Higuita lost 2 minutes to Tarling.
Chad is saying Bilbao, but I kind of don't see it.
No, he's too close on GC. Bilbao, I like Bilbao, but he's a top 3 merchant. Like,
Tejada is still underrated. And not necessarily underrated, but he's still one of those guys that they're really like, no need to immediately respond.
Yeah, Bilbao will be too marked, and also I think he'll wait. So yeah, I like your pick, Benji.
And like, he's part of Astana who need the UCI points, so he might get a victory from the Make-A-Wish Foundation or something.
What?
Because everybody feels bad for Astana.
I don't feel bad for Astana. They fucked up their signings the last 2 years.
Fair.
And then Vino was like, someone else. Vino was blaming like the transfer period in 2021. I was like, you signed a 3-4-year-old lead out riders for 2 years.
Hey, they got Cavendish's for the fifth victory.
Mean, they did, I guess. What about Michael Leonard?
Nah, I need, like, he's a young rider, young dude on Ineos. He's shown some flashes over the last couple of years, I'd say, but not nothing to shout, okay, this guy's going to do it directly at the UAE Tour. I don't have that in my head.
Yeah, I agree. I
think he'll play conservatively to get the best possible result for himself on this climb.
Yeah. Anyway, I like watching Jebel Jais. It's like a 20k, 5% climb, long build up. I think all eyes will be on Poggy, but actually, I still think the most realistic outcome is that the other GC leaders cannibalize each other, control each other. Poggy will play it smooth. He'll close down groups of 5 in the wheel, and most likely he just wins the sprint. But yeah, I'm going with Jörg Steinhauser, and Benji's gone for Harold de Harder.
Oh my God. Is Lutsenko at this race?
Yeah.
I'm never going to get used to seeing him in the Israel Premier Tech kit.
There was something weird today in the TT with him and Jan Hirt. It was like the, I don't know what was going on there.
I don't know either. I was sleeping probably.
Is Jan Hirt in this race?
I think he is.
He is.
Yes. He got poisoned again because he finished 85th.
He's also another good option. Okay. That was our recap of the UAE Tour TT and the preview of tomorrow's uphill finish. Any other news around the traps, Benji?
I don't think so. We did the weekly show yesterday, so how much news would have happened in the last 24 hours?
Egan Bernal fractured his collarbone, so that's being repaired. We got that news after Classica Rennes, which is a real shame. I would have loved, not just for his Giro preparation, but I wanted to see him in Strada Bianca in 2 weeks. So that's a real shame. And it sucks. He was closing down Del Toro's attack where we were like, why did Del Toro get away? Bernal should have been marking him. He was marking him, and he just mistook a corner and went down. So that's a shame.
I think Connor Swift also went down, I'm pretty sure.
He did. It was Bernal, Tyler, Connor Swift, and then I don't know if there was just a loose section that surprised people and then they break too much. But yeah, it was
I also
shame.
think, actually thinking through the start list, that the Visma Lab GC riders are also riders that need to try early. The Glogs of the world.
Yes. They are. I mean, I think Globe might have even attacked you before.
I do not remember.
This is a Globe special as well. That's how he won in Czech Tour.
That is true. But
he's not.
Czech Tour is a bit of a...
Nah, he issued an athlete.
Czech Tour is not UAE Tour, I'm sorry. Because the UAE Tour is an exhibition race.
No, well, it is. We certainly saw Hadirat Island today in all its glory.
By the way, they showed two things. First of all, they showed the Abu Dhabi theater.
Why isn't Van der Poel here?
Bro, I don't know, but also I don't really care about Van der Poel being in the UAE Tour. I know he loves this area for recreational activities, but we ain't not here to do some golf, buddy. We're here to ride a bike.
He could have won
and
yesterday.
There's no Van der Poel stages here. Except stage 1.
Except yesterday.
Yeah, except the leader's jersey on stage 1.
Then you can go back to the golf course. First
of all, Abu Dhabi Theatre looks tiny. I'm sorry. For the amount of money that the UAE has...
Oh, compared to the Saudi Mirror, the Alula Mirror building, that amphitheater, that's, come on. The Mirror building in Alula Tour is crazy. It's so big. I agree.
Secondly, I've got 3 points now. Secondly, Matt Stevens and Carlton Curry were talking about a new building being created, a new landmark called the Rice Tower. That is was it 2 kilometers high? Probably not. But it was 2 kilometers is probably impossible. But
2 kilometers?
I don't know what it was, to be honest. But it was going to be the largest building ever created or something. The Rice Tower. And for my opinion on that is that's just stupid.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I don't want to be in an elevator for that long.
That's in Riyadh.
Yeah, they're going to build that in Riyadh. How tall is it going to be?
The Rise Tower is a skyscraper construction project. 2 kilometers built, Benji.
That is ridiculous. Imagine being in an elevator.
No, they were mentioning it because the Burj Khalifa is a mere 830 meters high. So they're going to double the Burj Khalifa.
Wow. At the start of the year, whoever loses whoever gets the most predictions wrong in the team previews up to this point needs to walk up the 2-kilometer tower by stairs.
Sure, you can get
Would you
Benji.
survive?
What's that construction project? The neon one, the line.
I have no clue.
Get Benji a filler there. With his neighbor can be Matthew Van der Poel. They're just like, yeah. Oh no, Benji's gone again. I think the Abu Dhabi, the sovereign wealth funds cut off his internet connection because he's talking too much about the Saudi building projects that are going to be too tall or much taller than him. So anyway, we'll wrap up the podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening to it. We have the Jebel Jais recap tomorrow, and Benji's going to get to work on the rise, and we'll do.
And on my Wi-Fi, clearly.
Burj Khalifa stair challenge, Benji.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I love just seeing riders ride slow.
No, as in we run up the staircase, the internal staircase.
Oh, you mean stairs, as in not... I thought staring at the Burj Khalifa.
No, that's what Van der Poel does on Saturday. If he plays golf in the morning, drives Lambo Burj Khalifa, just stares up at it. It's like, wow, it's tall.
Wow, impressive.
Thanks for listening as always. I will see you in the recap tomorrow. Ciao.